In today's video, we're going to be talking about WordPress maintenance plans for web designers and agencies. If you are doing web design services for clients, whether you're an agency or a freelancer, and you're not providing an option for your clients for an ongoing maintenance plan component to it, you should be. I've run a successful digital agency, and in that time, what I've seen that worked incredibly well for us and helped us be successful, as well as some other businesses and agencies that I've worked with, the single biggest thing to ongoing growth and success for agencies is having that recurring model of an ongoing maintenance plan for clients. And it has several different benefits that we're going to be talking about in this video today. So if you are not yet providing an ongoing maintenance plan for your clients, stay tuned and check out the rest of this video. We're going to break down everything from why you should be offering an ongoing maintenance plan to different components of a website service agreement to some more niche tips and tricks from the pros. So stay tuned and you'll learn everything that you need to know about offering ongoing WordPress website maintenance for your clients. So one quick thing to mention before we dive in. Accompanying this video, we have a companion blog post that's rather lengthy that you can check out that breaks down everything that you need to know about website maintenance plans, from the why to features to offer, add-on services, and some fine details as well. And we also have to share a downloadable guide that you can take with you, a downloadable PDF that breaks down WordPress website maintenance plans for agencies and freelancers. So please check that out as well. So first, I want to talk about why you should offer a WordPress maintenance plan to your web design clients if you're not doing this yet. I feel like we need to start from here. If you are not convinced yet, I want to convince you that you absolutely should be providing an option for your clients to have an ongoing maintenance plan. And there are a few different reasons for it. Actually, with my agency, we made it compulsory. Anyone that was signing up for a website design with us had to also get an ongoing website support, hosting, maintenance plan. Otherwise, we wouldn't work with them for a few reasons. In particular, we're really focusing on a recurring revenue model. You know, you can do a bunch of $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 website projects for clients. But the thing is, without an ongoing component to it, you're constantly looking for projects. And if you have a bad month or a bad few months where you're not signing on new clients and new projects, then your business just isn't making any money. And this is one of the several reasons I want to talk about why you should offer a WordPress maintenance plan to your clients. So aside from the very client-centric reasons to be offering an ongoing website maintenance plan, like, for example, the fact that clients often need ongoing support and help with their websites, there's the financial recurring revenue aspect that affects your web design business. When I started my agency, we did financial projections at the start, and we saw that by doing one-time fee web design projects, it wasn't scalable, because without providing an ongoing maintenance plan, we'd be in a constant race to get new clients. And if every client is just paying a one-time fee for web design, then you always have to be making more sales. If you're only having one-time fees for your website projects, then you can never take a vacation from sales. If you have a bad month or you decide to take time off, you don't have more revenue coming in. And so we looked at these projections and we saw that we couldn't scale our web design agency and our services without providing ongoing website maintenance plans to our clients. So for us, that was kind of a no-brainer from the financial perspective there. But aside from that, there are many other reasons to provide website maintenance plans. Kind of the biggest reason to provide a website maintenance plan to your clients is because they need this. More often than not, clients don't want you just to build their website and then leave them to figure it out for themselves. There are always things that crop up from time to time, whether it's adding new pages to their site or upgrading their plugins or functionality. There is always something. And from having worked with and hosted websites for hundreds of clients, I can tell you that it really runs the gamut, and there are things that your clients may need They may need a ton of help 1 month. You may not hear from them for 6 months, but when you need them, having the fact that you have an ongoing maintenance plan with them makes it so that you're available and you can help them out and they can get the service they need. Part of this is like a customer service aspect, because if you say to your client, we'll build your website, but you have to find your own web host and you have to figure out your own support for after the site is live, then the client then has to spend their own time and energy to evaluate different web hosts and figure it all out. Like, if you think about it, their options, they can go with a major host like GoDaddy or Bluehost and have their support teams provide that assistance as they need it. And if you've ever used some of the support that those providers have, it cannot be great. Hold times can be incredibly frustrating, and the people that you are working with on support may not be the best at helping you resolve your issues. Or they could find another WordPress maintenance company specifically that the client isn't familiar with and they have to evaluate for themselves. Or option 3, you provide support and maintenance for the client. You're someone that they know and trust because they've already hired you potentially to build their website. And so if you're providing them ongoing support and maintenance and hosting as well, then you're their one-stop shop and you can help them with all of their website issues. So that seems like a no-brainer for them. I will say that one concern I've heard when I'm pitching clients is, my service for ongoing support, maintenance, and hosting, I don't charge what other hosts charge. Like, if you go with any of the major hosts, you can see that you can pay $5, $10, or $20 per month sometimes. But with my ongoing website support and hosting and maintenance, I was charging around $100 per month. And now that's a lot more than $5 or $10 a month. And some potential clients will complain about that. But the thing is, if they're complaining about that, if they're just looking for basic hosting and not any help, then they're not going to be a good potential client for me to work with. Because in my experience, losing out on clients that complain about your price will be the best money that you never made. Any clients that I found that you provide discount or cheaper services to, they're going to treat you like the price that they're paying, because this is all value centric. If they don't value you and value the price that you're charging, then they're going to treat you like the value they don't believe you have, if that makes sense. The clients that you have that are looking for quality service, a full scope picture where you're providing them website and premium quality hosting and support with knowledgeable WordPress support and maintenance, and clients that are happy to pay that are the best clients to have because they are valuing the service that you have. One area I want to talk about is the project scope when you're doing ongoing support and hosting versus not. If you're doing a one-time project saying, I'm going to build your website and we're going to launch it and then you're going to take over, well, there's an end date to that agreement, to this website project. So you're going to launch the site and then you're never going to touch the site again if it's a one-time project. But if it's an ongoing project with an ongoing support service and ongoing relationship with you and the client, then you're going to be working on the site for a while and you can be continually working on the site. And so you may not need everything the client needs to launch the site. So for example, if the client doesn't have some pictures or some text content that you think the site needs before it launches, well, you can tell them, we can launch the website without those pages with what we have now. And since we're, your hosting provider, we are providing you support ongoing, we can add those pages to your site at a later date for, no additional charge. And that makes it easier to move the site project along. Otherwise, if it's like, okay, here is what we want before the site's live, then your site can take forever to get launched. Related to this, I found that having an ongoing relationship, providing ongoing support services, as opposed to just being a single project one and done, gives you better customer support and customer satisfaction. Because, with an ongoing maintenance plan, instead of being the client's one-night stand, you end up being their long-term partner. clients can be demanding with projects sometimes, and they can treat you like you are not a part of their team. But if there is an ongoing relationship here with you and the client on their website, where you're going to be working on the website continuously, even past the date when the site is launched, then you're going to have to be able to communicate well with each other, and the client's going to be wanting to work with you better. One of the other big financial benefits to you to providing ongoing website support and maintenance services for your clients is that if they ever need anything else in the realm of website or online marketing or whatever, they will think of you. There is huge upsell potential that you get from having an ongoing relationship with this client. And over the years that I ran an agency, this happened to me dozens of times where clients would reach out to me saying, "Hey, I want to see if you had a recommendation. Do you know anyone that does SEO, blogging, or social media?" And I would say, why, yes, we offer that service. We can add that to your package for an additional X dollars per month. You'll get one bill per month. You'll have us as your single contact point related to your website and your marketing, making things easier for you. So we can get started if you want. And that made it really easy to sell an add-on service to an existing client. One thing I've heard that's been shared a lot in the realm of sales is that it's cheaper to sell to existing customers than to acquire new ones. And upselling can be a way to improve customer satisfaction because it builds a deeper relationship with your customers by that you're providing them more services, and provided that they already know and trust you from this website project and the ongoing hosting, it should be a lot easier to convince them to add another element to their service package than to have to pitch someone who's never heard of you and has to be convinced from scratch. And the last thing I want to talk about in the realm of why you should have a website maintenance plan, before we talk about the specifics of what you should have in your website maintenance plan and some premiums and add-ons, which we're going to talk about in just a sec, is that there are potential for more referrals. This kind of extends from having better customer service, but if clients are happy with your service, they will recommend you to their colleagues and friends. And if you have this ongoing relationship with them where you are hosting the website for them, you're providing regular support for them, and you're in touch with them regularly, you're going to be the one that they think of when they're thinking, "Oh, my friend asked for a recommendation for a website host and for building their website. I wonder who can help them out," as opposed to you not having talked to your client in 2 or 3 years because you built their site 3 years ago and you never spoke with them ever again. But having the ongoing relationship keeps you top of mind with that client, and so they can refer you and confidently refer you because they've been continually working with you for all that time. So now I want to talk about features that you should have in your WordPress website maintenance plan. And whether you're doing websites through WordPress or any other CMS, providing ongoing maintenance can be tricky if you don't have the right scope and parameters for any of this. Before you do anything regarding current or potential clients and website maintenance, you have to establish parameters for all of this. Specifically, what features are you going to include in your WordPress or website maintenance plan, and what things are going to be not included? If you're designing websites, I'm sure you've seen before this thing called scope creep, where you're designing a website and a client asks for just one more thing, which is above and beyond what you quoted them and is not really in the scope, but you think, all right, I'll add another round of edits, some more content editing, some on-site SEO, whatever I can add on that just gets this project over the finish line. And then you end up spending more time working on this website than you had agreed to, but you were trying to appease the client because you want to get the project completed. Well, same thing can happen with website maintenance plans if you are not clear about this. So you need to establish very clearly what website support means and what's included with that. So what services are you going to include with your website support and maintenance? Well, your agreement that you have, and you should have an agreement, it should be written, and don't worry if it's not perfect on day one. You can, over time, revise your agreement and have different iterations, but the important thing is that it's written down and that you have something to point to that the client can see, this is what I'm getting for my ongoing monthly or annual payment of X dollars. Well, there's going to be support. Now, support means kind of everything and nothing. What is website support? Are you willing to edit their WordPress website code? Are you willing to figure out DNS issues? Are you willing to touch DNS stuff? Because DNS stuff is like domain related and not necessarily website related, but kind of it's related. So you need to figure that out. But typically when I want to mention support in a website maintenance agreement, I'm really just talking about the availability of my support team and our response time related to the services that I'm going to provide. Like, for example, part of my team's maintenance, my website maintenance plan is going to be things like website edits, text edits, or adding new pages. And I'm going to be specific on what comes with the website edits, but support is just going to refer to, we are available Monday to Friday between this time and this time, and so on. And speaking of that, are you going to have off hours or emergency support available, or is that going to be out of scope and something that people have to pay for? So if they ring you at 1 a.m. on a Sunday and you are going to provide support, if you so choose, what is that going to cost them? So you have to think about what's going to be outside of the scope and what you're going to charge for that as well. So aside from website edits, one thing that I typically want to include in my website maintenance agreement is updates, providing updates to WordPress plugins and the theme. And, this can be an easy thing to provide depending on, whether or not conflicts arise between different plugins, because with WordPress that can happen where you update one plugin and that affects something else. But you can say in your agreement and your WordPress maintenance plan that you at least offer to attempt to provide regular plugin and theme updates as long as the client is paid up on any premium theme or plugin that they have paid for, and it shouldn't be your responsibility to pay to renew the client's themes or plugins that are premium that they have. And also make sure that you lay out that you're not responsible if there are any conflicts between different plugins, because you could spend years trying to figure out how to fix plugins that break other plugins and themes. That can be a nightmare. Another thing to consider offering is uptime monitoring. So with some third-party plugins, you can offer this pretty easily. Uptime monitoring is basically keeping tabs on the site being live. If the site goes down for any reason, whether it's due to the host server, DNS, or an attack, uptime monitoring lets you and your client know that your site is up. And uptime monitoring is handy because if a site goes down for any reason, you get notified immediately so you can quickly react to get that site back up. And your quick response makes you a hero for the client. So there are third-party plugins that you can use that can help you provide this service very easily to your clients. Some other things you can think of providing: backups, also something that you can do with third-party plugins. Some clients, in my experience, are not as skilled in WordPress as they think they are and can tinker with or destroy websites pretty easily. And that's not great, but that's better as long as you have backups for your site. And having backups lets you undo catastrophic edits that clients make. It also helps you roll back in case a website got attacked or anything like that. Aside from that, Google Analytics support also can be done with a third-party plugin, pretty easy to do. It's kind of in the realm of things that clients hope for and expect, since they care about their website traffic and they want to know where people are coming from. Having that support is great to offer as well. Speaking of which, aside from that, traffic reports, something you can also do with a third-party plugin. So that each month, for example, your client gets a traffic report saying, this month you got 1,000 visits, 900 of them came from organic, 100 of them came from ads and whatever. And then one thing that can be nice about this, and this has happened many times for me with running our agency, is if a client gets their traffic report and they're not happy with the traffic they're getting, they'll email you and say, hey, I see we're not getting that much traffic. How can we get more traffic to our website? Then you can say, well, we do offer SEO and advertising services. We can add that to your package and we can help you get more traffic. Win-win, right? And the last kind of basic feature I want to talk about before we talk about add-on services is having security. So this is something that you can offer in tandem with a plugin like WordPress or Security. If you're already not familiar with website security, this may be an area where you want to improve your skill set. But basically, you could be running regular website security audits, also with the help of third-party plugins. And in the event the client site is attacked or taken down, you can restore the site from a previous backup. So next, I want to talk about WordPress maintenance plan add-on services. So you're already providing an ongoing service for website maintenance and possibly hosting as well as part of that. Well, some other services could include things like ongoing SEO. One thing with SEO, so with website maintenance plans, you may offer them month to month for a client. With SEO though, SEO isn't really a thing that you can do successfully in 1 month, especially, and you need to set client expectations right on this. SEO can take 6 months, it can take a year, but it takes a while to get traction here. And so your maintenance plan agreement, if you're adding on SEO, you should mention that SEO plans are in 6-month or 12-month terms, separate from the website maintenance, because it takes time to get SEO results and it takes time to build these campaigns out. So that's SEO. Aside from that, you can do things like paid advertising. So doing Facebook ads, Google ads, building those campaigns, getting those results for those clients and sending them reports each month showing them, here's how much traffic we were able to get for you, here's how many conversions you got, and giving them reporting on that. You could also do social media marketing, so creating social media posts for them on a regular basis. I know that's getting a little bit further away from the website aspect of this, but a lot of full service agencies want to bring all this work in-house because it can be a great source of increased recurring revenue for the agencies, so it could be something to consider. Beyond that, there's also email marketing. So you'll create newsletters on a periodic basis. It could be a great way to also get that recurring revenue and have this additional service to offer to the client. So now I want to talk about some really serious considerations, kind of pro-level considerations regarding offering ongoing WordPress website maintenance plans for your clients. A website maintenance plan is not just about what services you're providing and upselling. There are other considerations you have to be thinking about. For example, how are you going to provide support, especially if you have a team more than one person? What kind of payment schedule are you going to have? What about extended service fees that are out of scope? What are you going to do about actually managing multiple websites? And what's going to go into your actual website maintenance contract the client is going to sign? So I want to talk about each of these now. So what are you going to do for actually providing support? You may think, all right, well, I'll get a business phone and Zendesk for tickets, and that'll be it. But the thing is, what are you going to do when you get a call on the weekend with a client asking you for help with their website? Now, it took me a while to learn this, but you don't need to respond to every non-urgent Saturday email from a client. You might be thinking that you're providing great customer service by responding to an off-hours email or something like that. But what I've kind of learned is that after a while, I'd be responding to Saturday emails from clients, and then they kind of just grew to expect that I'd be available for them 24/7. And then when I wouldn't be responsive on a Sunday, they would get impatient. And I found that actually setting on and off hours, saying that I'll only be available, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and any other off hours requests that are emergencies are requiring extended service fees and off hours emergency support payments, then clients respected my time more. If you think about it, when we become accustomed to things, we tend to appreciate them less. So my advice, pro tip, is when you're providing support, have strict hours when you are available, and then any requests that people need that are urgent off hours come with an off hours extended service plan where you charge by the hour or something like that. I kind of think about this in the context of Amazon deliveries. It was amazing when you could order something online and it would come to you within a week. It was revolutionary. Wow, Amazon will deliver something to us within a week. That's crazy, and I can get anything I want from the internet. But then over time, they started providing things within 2 days, getting you 2-day shipping, and more recently, 1-day shipping, and sometimes I have no idea how they do it, same-day shipping. Well, the thing is, when you become accustomed to that, getting things a week later becomes so incredibly inconvenient, so that now everyone else around Amazon has to step up their game and provide you with 2-day shipping. Otherwise, it's just, oh my gosh, this big inconvenience, right? So as far as providing support and how you're going to do it, if you are just a one-person shop, you can use your regular email service for support. But the second you get an additional person on your team and that's helping out providing support, you need to be able to manage support tickets and figure out who has answered support questions and what they've said in the email chain, and that there is responsibility and accountability for all of that. So once you add another person to your team that's doing support, I recommend getting a support system like Zendesk or Help Scout, something that you can use to make sure that you can assign tickets to people, have them work on them, close them out, and be responsible ultimately for these tickets getting done. And as for phones, I personally recommend using CallRail. So before we actually had office desk phones, all the phones that we were using at my agency business were off of our cell phones, but CallRail can do call routing. So you can have a support line that people can call into, and it can get routed to multiple people's phone numbers, and you can have call recording, which can be really helpful for you. The call routing feature is really nice to have, especially if there are off hours, for example. So if someone's calling you off hours, you can just send them to a voicemail box so it doesn't go to you, or you can take people on and off shifts. Just whatever size your web design agency is, I strongly recommend using CallRail. Aside from the fact that you can use it for your business and using it for routing calls, and it also has tracking numbers that you can use so you can see where people are calling you from, whether it's SEO or paid ads or your direct number, what have you. We also use CallRail for our client websites so we could see how many calls they got each month from their websites, and anyone doing a marketing campaign, we would use tracking numbers specifically related to their marketing campaign efforts as well. So many reasons to have CallRail. If you don't have CallRail yet, you should definitely get it for your web design business. Next thing I want to talk about is payment schedules. So everyone's least favorite part of web design is chasing down clients for payment. You want to spend your time doing work, not hunting down people to pay you for what you've already done for them. And with an ongoing service every, month or year, depending on how you bill, you'll have to work to ensure your clients pay you. And at work, it's a cost of doing business, and it can be hard to avoid. Sometimes credit cards get declined and you have to then reach out and ask for a new credit card. And sometimes clients will ignore your emails and voicemails to get your payment. So that can be annoying. A few tips that I have for dealing with payment. First, don't accept checks. Only accept credit cards or electronic payments, because a check means you constantly have to reach out to your client just to get paid. That's extra time and effort for you, and that costs you all of that time. So when your client signs up for web design services with you and that maintenance plan, get their credit card, get that on file, and let them know in the agreement, we will be charging you ongoing support maintenance plan once your site is launched or within X days and ongoing, and so on. Just something that you have written down specifically. With my web design agency, I found that if you start charging people only when their site is live, some sites can take a year or more to launch, and it's no fault of yours. Let's say the client, it's not a priority for them, and they end up saying, all right, well, I paid you for the website. I still owe you pictures, or I owe you text content. I'll get it to you when I get a chance. And I've had clients who legit would be like 2 years behind, where I was waiting for them for 2 years to get their approval to launch the site. So that's 2 years of me also not getting this ongoing maintenance revenue that we could have been getting. So what I recommend and what we implemented was we'd say, we are charging you for the website design, X amount up front, X amount in 60 or 90 days. And at the 90-day mark, provided, there's no delay on our end, we'll also start charging you for ongoing maintenance and support and all of that. So that once that client gets past that point, when it's often their fault that they haven't gotten you the content that you needed, because at this point you should have your systems down. You should have no problem delivering a client's website in 2 months, 3 months. In every situation that we had where we got to the 3-month mark with the client and the site wasn't ready, it was typically because they owed us some content, rarely because we were so backlogged. So you get to that 3-month mark and the client gets their first bill for maintenance and for the last milestone for their website. That gives them a little kick in the pants and incentive to move things along, because they're going to be charged now for this ongoing component, and they don't have their website live yet. So that's something to consider as well. So what should you use for payment processing software? I recommend Stripe. It's very flexible and works with a lot of different environments. It's very developer friendly. You could also do alternatives like FreshBooks or Xero, which Xero and FreshBooks are both kind of also accounting software platform. Xero I love as far as accounting software platforms go. So that's something to think about as well. I do not recommend PayPal though. One question that I get is, well, what do I do if a client hasn't paid me? What if their card got declined and they're ignoring my outreach? Well, you should have a process. So, you should be reaching out to them via phone and email, let's say twice a week. And if the client gets, and then you should get a client an email saying, if you're past due 30 days, your website will be suspended until you pay your bill. And then at that 30-day mark, if they haven't still paid you, you put an under construction, or you put a holding page on their homepage of their website saying, if this is your website, please contact the administrator or whatever. And there are great WordPress under construction plugins that you can use with whatever custom message you want. That should do the trick. I've dealt with this in the past. It's not fun. It's the least fun part about doing web design, but it's kind of part of any business. There's really no way to avoid that unpleasantness. But by having everything written down in your agreement that's plain for your client to see and plain for anyone to see, to know what your process is, it shows that you're not being unreasonable about this, that your client messed up, and if they aren't going to pay the bill, that you're going to suspend the website until they pay it back. So make sure you have that language written out and a followed policy for the site suspensions and things like that. And then that gets easier to manage because you know what your process is. Next, I want to talk about something that I've been talking about before a little bit, which is extended service fees. So kind of things that are out of scope of the normal website maintenance plan, but things that come up. So for example, a client might ask you for integrating a new theme or integrating a new plugin or troubleshooting a plugin that they want added to their site. That could be out of scope. If they want you to SEO their content or do some graphic design work or provide some off-hours emergency support, these are just a few examples. This is going to be out of the scope of your regular WordPress website maintenance agreement and your contract, and you need to lay out specifically what these all services are and what you charge for them so people can add them to their plan, or if they inquire about them, you can say, well, here is the rate and here's what they are. This is not something that is part of your website maintenance plan. If you want this, if you want us to try adding in a new plugin that we're not familiar with, that's not part of your ecosystem, we can do that. Just know that it's going to cost more and be upfront about that. Next, one thing I want to talk about is how are you going to actually manage multiple websites for your clients? If you're hosting them all on your one hosting provider, okay, that's great. But if it's on a multi-site, that may be a lot easier for you. But let's say you have 10 clients that are signed up for your WordPress website maintenance package. How are you going to manage all of those different websites? Now, if they're not on a single multi-site install, managing them can be a bit of a challenge unless you're using website management software, something like MainWP or ManageWP. I recommend MainWP. It's great. Provides you a dashboard and a way to manage all of your sites, and it can be a real lifesaver. Without having that centralized dashboard that it has, you end up having a lot of repetitive tasks to manage all of your sites, like updating themes and plugins and so on. But MainWP and ManageWP give you that centralized dashboard from which you can run regular scheduled backups, updating themes and plugins, managing users, doing security checks and audits, and all of that stuff. So the last thing that I want to talk about before we wrap this up is very, very important. So we've talked about the different pieces of what's going to be included in your WordPress website maintenance plan, but what is your actual contract going to look like that your client has to sign off on? You should absolutely have a written agreement, and your client, before they sign up for your web design and maintenance plan services, they should have to sign up for it. They should have to sign the agreement. If you don't yet, sign up for an e-sign software service like EchoSign, Write Signature, DocuSign. They're all good. They all do the same thing. But I would definitely recommend an e-signature service like that because it's easy for you to have your template agreement, add their email, they sign the agreement, they send it back to you, and it's done, rather than you having to send them a PDF. They have to print out and sign it and then scan it and send it back to you. It's a big hurdle, and you don't want to have to deal with that because it just creates another obstacle. So use e-signature software. It's great. You should absolutely use that for your agreements. So what should be in your actual WordPress maintenance plan agreement? What should the language be? A few different things. You should mention who the parties are to the agreement, you and the client. You should mention what the services are to be provided and the scope of the work, what the fixed scope is. So what the client is going to get for what they're paying. Speaking of that, cost. How much is it going to cost them for the services that you're providing? How long is the term going to be? So if you want your term for your website maintenance plan to be month to month or annual, you can do that. If you're doing ongoing marketing, as I mentioned before, you should think about 6 months term or a year term. Also have a section mentioning what payment terms are. So we talked about things like before, that payment is going to be due by a credit card. It's going to be due, let's say, the first of the month every month. If your card is declined, you have to provide a new card. And if your payment is not provided within 30 days, if you're 30 days past due, your website will be suspended until you provide the payment that you need. Beyond that, extended service fees. What are they? What's included? How much is it for additional extended services beyond the scope of the agreement? Support turnaround time. What's your turnaround time going to be from getting a phone call or an email within business hours? Usually I'd say within 1 business day or 2 business days, a response time for that, for any issues. Also, you should mention that this agreement is a work for hire. You are not an employee of the company and they're not employees of you or anything like that. Anything related to the ownership of the website and all that stuff should be laid out as well. So you may say that this client, since this is a work for hire, you own the website, but you do not own the hosting platform. You do not own any proprietary tools or plugins that we may use. You also need to spell out how to terminate the agreement, how you want it, how this ends, what kind of notice needs to be provided to end the agreement, and how much time. So for example, you can say, we need 1 calendar month notice to end the agreement. So if you provide us notice on the 15th of January to terminate the agreement, you're going to also be responsible for paying for February before the agreement is terminated, because it's going to take you time to help them migrate the website if that's what they need, provide them an export of the website, and so on. And you shouldn't be just expected to be able to provide that right away. Indemnification and liability. You're not responsible for anything related to the website. I don't know, causing injury to anyone else. Basically, that the client, that you warrant that, any content that the client has on their website they have to have proper permissions to use. They can't be providing, like, putting up illegal content on their website, and you're not going to be responsible for any of that. Choice of law, forum for dispute. So if you get into a legal conflict over all of this, you should spell out where a dispute can take place. If wherever you are based is where I recommend making the choice of law and forum for dispute. So you can say, for example, in your agreement, any disputes shall be resolved in the city of New York, New York County, whatever court, so on, or whatever. You may have a client that's out of state. You don't want them, if this scenario has to come, that some client sues you, you don't want them suing you in their state. You want the agreement to provide for a dispute to be resolved in your location, state court, or whatever. You could also provide for an arbitration clause if you wanted, saying any disputes will be resolved over arbitration or something like that. And last, at the very bottom, you need a signature section. The client needs to be able to sign the agreement. You need to be able to sign the agreement. And that's basically, I know we covered that very quickly, but that's basically everything you need to know about the agreement that you have for a website maintenance plan. So I know we covered a lot of ground here. We talked about why you should provide a WordPress website maintenance plan, what elements should be in your maintenance plan. We talked about add-on services, and we talked about some kind of pro tips from the trenches of having actually been providing website design and maintenance services ongoing for clients. So I hope this helps you out. As I mentioned before, I strongly recommend, if you're doing web design for your clients, that you also provide an ongoing website maintenance and support plan for them. It's a huge value add. Clients really appreciate it, and it can be a great source of recurring revenue for your business and help you grow and scale your web design business as well. So definitely consider that. And hopefully these tips that you've gotten in this video help out. If there's anything that you want to know more about, please comment below this video or feel free to email us. You can find us online at offsprout.com and we can help you out there. Also, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. We have a ton of content all about running a web design business, growing it, getting new clients, helping you build links. We have a lot of different videos that cover a lot of different aspects of building a web design business, so check those out. Everything from tools to DNS to sales and web design and more. So Thanks for joining us today, and please check out some of the other stuff on our Offsprout channel.